Greetings and welcome to Mount Olympus. I am Hercules Invictus, and today I'm proud to bring you the return of our ATHENAEUM. And our first offering will be from Khamuast, and he will be treating us to a Neteru ritual, as was done in days of old. Greetings, Setna. How are you?
I'm very well, and I'm very excited. I have my nous all ready. The ritual is all set to go. And so as soon as we are ready, I will start.
We are ready. The floor is yours. I'll be here watching.
Okay, so everybody, as was done in ancient, I lost myself. As was done in ancient times, I will, with my sistrum, bring you to my nous, and you're going to see that right now. Okay, what happened here? This is a traditional Egyptian temple box called a nous in Greece. I have it locked, as you can see. So I'm going to, with my incense and my sistrum, I'm going to say, Great Tehute, Lord of knowledge, Lord of letters and of magic, I summon you. You are the world that we need. You are the master that we need. I ask you now to come forth with us. I have blessed the nous with incense. I'm going to show you that I am opening the nous. I undo the lock. I open the door. And now you have the great Lord Tehute in his temple. I will put light there so you can see light. You'll see along the way of that temple, you'll see Thoth, you'll see a scribe, a pharaoh, and the rest of the Neteru. They are there to support the Lord of knowledge on this day, on this holiday. So now I light 2 candles. One is blue. The blue one is for health. You'll see me doing that. And there's a green one, that the green one is now for change in life and positive energy. We'll bring that to you in a second also. And so with incense and fire, I welcome the God. Dua Tehute, which is blessings, Thoth, blessings Tehute. I use sacred water that has been blessed. This is ancient sea salt, which I happened to get years and years ago from the Nile Delta. In the Mediterranean and the Nile, where they meet, the water is salty. And so I'm in front of the Lord God. I sprinkle the salt and I asperge with my hand water to bless the statue and say to him, Lord Tehute, these are my friends. These are the members of the temple, and they say homage to you. And you would all say homage to the Lord, Tehute. Again, I would use a sistrum. This time I'm going to use a different one. This one is hand carved. It comes from Africa. And I bless the Lord with sound. So I have earth, I have fire, I have air and water all together. So we bless the temple area with the 4 elements, and the God will be satiated. I say by Aset, by Nebtet, by Selket and by Neith, by Meshta, by Hapi, by Ketsanuf and by Duabutep. I bless this circle. I bless this temple, that we and all within shall receive the great knowledge and blessings of the Lord Tehute. The sapphire in his head, you can probably see, is glowing. This means to me that the high energy is now reaching us. This is an amazing thing. I very seldom have seen the stone glow like that before. This is an incredible, incredible situation. I have written on a piece of papyrus, which I got through from friends in Egypt. Life, health, and prosperity, which I always say to everyone, which is Anku Jat Seneb, and M Ab, which is my heart. Ab is the heart. And then we have the temple, the pair, the temple. And then I have Shen, which is forever, and Uchak, which is protection. So I'm asking for all of you, protection for your house, your family, your heart, so that you will not be, not have your heart broken. And everlasting love and everlasting protection from the all high forces. I will dip this into blessing, and this is giving us the energy and bringing it right back to the high force and to the God. Right, Tehute, we ask that you accept our sacrifice and that you grant what we have asked for, which is protection from the heart. We ask that you will give all health. We ask that you will help in growing knowledge from now on, and to protect families. All this we ask in the name of the temple. So must it be. I will then stir the ash so that the papyrus is completely burned. When it is, which is very soon now, which is a good thing, I will then put salt and water to the ash. But right now the papyrus is still burning, probably because I have oil there, but it has lit the altar up quite a bit, as you can see. I hope you can see. So there's a great deal of light going on now, and there's very strong energy. The deity is pleased. In Egypt, every day, in every single temple, the chief deity of that temple would be blessed with oil. Sometimes robes were put on, jewelry. The eyes might have been painted. I have done all this ahead so that when we opened the naus, the little mini temple, all of this energy would be done ahead for you. What I would ask is anyone that's watching, if you have needs or help, or if there's anything you wish, let me know. I will write all these things. We'll write all these things down. And I will, at a future time, also do this ritual individually for you. As I see the oil is almost finished. Those of you that might have been afraid of the house burning down, please know I've done this for thousands and thousands of times. And I'm careful to know exactly what I can use and what I cannot. I will tell you, when I was about, I don't know, 19, I had put a huge temple in my bedroom. My parents were delighted, of course. And I almost burned the house down. I didn't know how much oil to use. I didn't know how much I was going to work with. And so I almost burned the house down. My mom, if she were here, would say, "Oh, yes, Michael, I remember." My best friend and I were practicing ancient magic. He ended up being more Slavonic, Germanic, and Celtic, which was his ancestry. Mine is also Celtic, by way of England, and by way of the Isle of Man. However, as you all know, that is not where my soul went. I am 100% Kemet, Egypt. I read and write. I breathe the very air that Egypt comes from. It is so deep in my soul, and I'm grateful to my mother. I don't know if you can see her. I'm hoping you can. Aset. There we go. I have many, many statues of Aset, Isis. And behind the mouse, you're going to see many, 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 many statues of the Neteru. I do this. I call that my portable temple. When I moved, this was a heck of a thing to bring. Be inside the temple, you'll see crystals. You will see the miniature of the temple of Hathor at Dendera. Because I am very devoted to Isis and Hathor and to all of the Neteru, I always take them with me. So I always have many Neteras, Neterets, with me so that I can do my rituals. I don't need the statuary. It just makes me feel like there's a vessel there. I can do it right without anything. Of course, as all people that practice any religion can. However, I just feel, maybe being a little theatrical, a little Egyptian, that this is what I feel best doing. When I finish with this, I will take these vessels. You can see now the ash from the altar is empty, so that no one burned down, and that the God answered our energy. Tehute answered with allowing the energy to be clear. I will take the ancient Egyptian salt, put that down here, and the water, that over here. So once we have asked the deity for the requests that we've made, in this case, home protection, not further knowledge, health, which is very, although he was not Imhotep, he is the god that supersedes Imhotep, and he's the oldest god of, I would say, of medicine and healing. Also, Sekhmet and later Set also became deities of healing. And another time we will work with those. But right now, I want to show you, I'm going to have to move. I wish you'd stop doing this. Okay, I just lost the whole thing. Where are you? What just happened? Shit. Okay, we just lost everything. I'm sorry. But I wanted to show you how beautiful this energy is. If I back it up a little, you can see the whole temple now. I always ask the all high forces to make sure that what we do now will be within their favor. We just finished the Egyptian New Year. So I also want to put in the altar the Lord Ra and Horus. Horus is just falling down. There we go. So we have Ra and Horus supporting their Lord Grand Vizier, Master of Knowledge, Tehuti. In the place of the Greek times, Tehuti would have been Hermes, Mercury. He was the messenger of the gods, the Grand Vizier, the major domo. If you were to arrive in Kenti Amenti, in Egypt's Olympus, as it were, you would be greeted by Tehuti, who would say, I am the herald. You will wait. You would have Anubis and Apuat come, and they would come and take you to the throne of Osiris and then to the throne of Ra, so that you would be able to speak to the All High. So I always include these energies whenever I do a ritual. We are nearly at the halfway point. I'm going to allow the candles to burn down a little. I'm going to bring my incense back to, again, bless the All High. The Egyptians were very, and are very good with the use of incense. I have today frankincense, lotus, and kufi are the three incenses I have on my altar right now. Kufi is a mixture of different herbs and resins. It has in it, I believe, also myrrh and frankincense. I've used frankincense since as long as I can remember. It's one of the most sacred incenses. You'll find it in almost all cultures in the East, just as much as you'll find sage here in the West. The Native American peoples used all kinds of amazing sages. Egypt, and it's very well known that Hathor, the queen Hatshepsut, made a very big expedition to Madagascar, which was also called Punt. And she brought back with her frankincense trees, which only grew in Madagascar, the particular ones that she used for temple. So we had commerce starting. She was amazing as far as the pharaohs went, in that she was somebody who really understood business besides architecture and government and the state religion. And her time, of course, because she was 18th dynasty, the chief deity, rather than being Ra, was Amun. So she would have done this and then gone to the temple of Karnak, and she would have made reference to Amun and said to him, look, Lord, these treasures I bring you. And she would have brought forth the frankincense trees. Probably she had employed people that were from Madagascar to care for and grow these beautiful trees. Okay. We're having a little technical thing going on here. Okay. So I'm going to now, as we are around 9:30, almost, I'm going to start closing the ritual because it's complicated also. So I take the incense, I'm going to put that out. It was used only once for this ritual, and that will go into cold water. That also protects my house after all. I'm going to extinguish the candles. I'm going to use a magnificent chalice just to cover those. Mighty Tehute, Lord of knowledge, Lord of medicine, Lord of magic, we thank you. We feel most blessed by your presence. And we thank you that you accepted our offerings. And we thank you for coming to our tonight and giving us your attention. I'm going to move the candles down. Having blessed the energy, again, I take my sistrum. This one actually came to me by a dear friend who has said he got it in Alexandria. This sistrum contains the image of the goddess Bast. Very important. She had always been involved with music and dance. So this is a wonderful piece, and I was very grateful. I take the incense holder, move that down. Mighty Lord, we ask you to go in peace. We ask you again, when we pray for you, when we pray for your presence, that you will appear to us. And now we ask you to go back forth into your fantastic realm and bring our prayers, our hopes, our aspirations with you so that they will be heard by all the most powerful beings. So must it be. And now I close the naos. And now the box is closed. Normally I would lock that back up. What I'm going to do today is seal it with the most powerful amulet in Egyptian magic, which is the Uchat, the Eye of Horus. This one is particularly large and works as an amazing door lock. So that is how we set things up in ancient times too. And now we would celebrate with a feast. We would have, I have fruit juice here. I have some cakes, and I would take of those and say, and bless them also. And also that part of that would be given to the altar as well. So I made the ritual a bit abbreviated on purpose. I wanted it to be simple so that you could all see that this is something that you don't have to have complicated things to do with. I have tools that I used. My sistrum. this amazing ankh, which I've had over 40 years. It is solid bronze. It actually sings. To cut open the naus, to cut open the lock, I use an Egyptian afami, an Egyptian knife. This particular one has Horus on it, and the eye of, I don't know if you can see the eye of Horus also on the bottom. I am very much involved with called the Great Anead, which is Isis, Osiris, Nephthys, Set, Ra, and Tehute. So those beings are my chief deities. I do hold holiday for all the others, but this is the ones that I find closest to my heart. I will tell you that we have upcoming events. We will be doing, obviously, the autumn equinox around the 22nd or 23rd of September. There is also a ritual specifically for the death of Osiris. It is also held usually during the autumn equinox ritual. In times, a priest playing Set, a priestess playing Isis, a priest playing Osiris would be enacting what would be similar to a Christian passion play. You'd have other onlookers and guests. There was a very strange, the whole passion play is very interesting dynamic and very much different to the Christian things, except I would say that with Isis and Osiris and Set and Nephthys, it's kind of like Cain and Abel, and you've got a positive Eve and a negative Eve, and it's a very interesting thing. So Osiris being Abel and Set being Cain, and the whole cycle of birth, life, birth, death, and reincarnation is done in that passion play. Later on at the spring equinox is the time when the Osirians would have a rebirth ritual for Osiris. He would come back up in the fields before the time where Isis was his wife, when he was I guess you'd say an agricultural god. He would come up through the corn or through the wheat or the papyrus reeds as the new crop. Later on, when the Set and Isis and Osiris passion play happened, Isis found his pieces. She made, of course, them together, and she worked with them, made love to him. And of course, Horus was created. And so Horus's birth, of course, happens at the summer solstice, where he also unites with Ra. I want to do pay a little homage again to Isis. We just did the 5 birthdays, the Egyptian New Year, and I wanted to speak a little bit about that too. Those 5 days we all have New Year's Eve. The Egyptians have 5 New Year's Eves. It's a ball, much feasting, much festivals, dancing, singing, music, incense, amazing holiday foods. The first day is for Osiris, the second for Horus, the third for Set, the fourth, being sexist in a way, the fourth Isis, and the last, of course, Nephthys. The Egyptian men, I suppose, in the temples back in those days, put the boys first. I don't agree with that energy, but that changed over the years. There were also times when those rituals were held in April. Someone even told me in what we would have as December. So I guess it depended on dynasty. I have worked mostly with 18th and 19th and 12th and Ptolemaic dynasties, and they are the ones that worked in the first 5 days of August. And so this is what I do. My altar is still set up for Isis because I also have a ritual, which I will do privately tonight, honoring Isis. It is a ritual for motherhood and fertility. I have, as you know, I have phone a wizard, and I perform services for my customers. And so this young lady is having trouble, I guess, conceiving. And so I will then ask of Isis if she will lend her energies to help this young lady reach what she's looking for. I'm being very polite. I also have coming up a ritual childbirth, a child naming ritual. And I have this amazing ankh, which holds a candle or a chalice. And I will put in that the name of the person that is looking for help. And that will go in there, and that will be also burned. And that energy will go forward as well. Hercules, are you there? He's keeping an eye on us. I'm just making sure.
I'm here. It takes a few seconds to get the buttons.
Okay, I wasn't sure. I wanted to see if we're okay still. I think we are.
I'm 29 minutes. We're fine.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I don't want to cut in and be silly. The last part of this lecture, I would say, or ritual, would be also how the high priest and high priestess bless themselves. Again, that's something usually secret, but I'd like to do that for you. Put that there. I hope you guys can see it.
It's a totally blank picture, Setna.
Yes, I know.
Okay.
This is ridiculous. Somewhere along the line, a little chaos. I dropped the telephone. I'm terribly sorry. Do forgive me all. I was trying to put it on something so that I could show you the oils that I'm working with to undo what I'm doing. Let's try this one more time. It's not going to work. Okay, I'm going to give that to. So, in this vial, I have a distilled oil, which has got frankincense, lotus, iris, papyrus oil, which is very, very rare, and also a bit of, how will I say it? It's a wheat, a kind of a wheat, which the Egyptians used. And I have this in an oil so that I can undo my energies and relax and let things go back to normal. So what I do, and I have a spray bottle because I'm well, it's 2023, right? I'm going to take a little of it. On my hand, and from my forehead and my wrist, and I can then say, Lords and ladies of the universe, Lord Ra, Lady Mut, Lady Isis, Bast, Nephthys, who is secret, Lady Neith, who is time itself, Selkut, who is protection, and Hathor, who is love. I ask you to purify my energies and help me to release what I have done into the universe so that all of these lovely people will have the blessing and benefit of my knowledge and my work. I take again my other system, which I also love. And shake that energy out. Take all the negativity that might have been there, mishaps, what have you, gone. So now we have purity, and we're back to equilibrium and back to normal. Hercules, did you have any questions? He'll come up in a second.
No, I don't have any questions at all. You explained things very clearly. This is the first time we've done this also, so we're learning as we're going along.
I kept the ritual simple on purpose.
Yes.
I didn't want it, it's just me. It's not, I don't have other members with me tonight. So I'm performing this solo. Normally, these rituals would be performed with about 5 or 6 people at the altar. So right now, it's just the high priest, and that is my title. I am Shamsu. It is servant of the temple. It also means I am the servant of the higher forces, but also the servant of the people that come to the temple. It is a powerful energy. It's a powerful job, I guess, or duty, but it's also very humble. I take what I do seriously. If someone has problems or needs prayers, I'm right here. This is what I do. This is what I care most about, is taking care of people who really need my assistance. This is the reason I took my vows. I didn't care about prestige. I didn't care about, what would you say, glamour, those things. A high priest is a very hardworking servant. And that's first and foremost what I was. As you may know, I was a And so now we're going to work with our ritual items, which I brought, which I did not show you, but I will now. This is a chalice of Isis that I got recently. I use this and a chalice of Khepra. Khepra is called the Lord of Creation. He's a scarab. Egyptians believed, because the scarab was rolling around with a dung ball, and that all this light came out of it, that Khepra was a creator god. And so on my altar, I always acknowledge him as great. And it's amazing energy. I also want to bring to your attention a green, it's called a green egg, a green obsidian egg. There is an ancient spell, they say by one of the pharaoh's high priests, whose name bears my name, which is Khamuast. It's called the green crystal spell. And they say that Khamuast, at a time when Egypt was running out, was basically broke, cast this spell and created prosperity for the entire nation. And so I have for us my green crystal. The green crystal egg is made of obsidian. I was told that this particular one, they found a long tube and this egg shape in the Western Egyptian desert. Lightning had struck the sand, and this crystal was born. And I'm very honored. I feel that this was a gift to me by a dear friend. And so I use this in ritual also. Another piece that I always work with is this staff. This is made of crabapple wood. Odd thing, I guess you'd say. When I was a neophyte priest and I was learning all the tricks and all the rituals and such, this wand, which acts kind of like a cobra in its own way, was brought. I saw it on the end of a tree. It was the branch was falling off, and I asked the tree if I could have it, and it literally fell off the tree. I peeled it, I carved it, I let it dry. And I've had this ritual wand since I was probably around, I would say 13 years old. And for me now, well, that's 52 years ago. So this wand has served me well. And as you can see, it does very much act like a cobra. It has its own energy. And I've been very blessed that it's part of my life. I mentioned earlier this ankh. This was brought to me in 1990 by a dear friend. She was actually a Greek priestess, and she made this. It's a bronze. It's very heavy, and an ankh, you'll see when you see any of the gods or goddesses or pharaohs is held this way. So you have the energy being pointed at whoever it's doing, and an ankh sends positive energy to all who see it, which is another reason I always wear one. It's an important thing to bless when you're working as a high priest, to bless the people around you, even when you're not talking to them. So wearing an ankh, I'm giving people my blessings. The other ritual tool, and I took it off. This is a belt of prayers. In Christian, in many other traditions, you have prayer beads or you have a rosary if you're Christian. The Egyptians had a belt of prayers that a priest would wear around his waist. Some of them had what looked like the tail of a leopard or an ox behind it. This one is basic, simple. It has gold wire through it, and each piece of the wire was a prayer, and each knot is a prayer. So just as a Christian lady or gentleman will hold the beads of the rosary and say the prayers, so I, with those knots, do that. And this is something I've never let the public know yet. So I'm giving this to you now. I feel it's time in my career to be more forthcoming in these kind of ritual tools. And I want to give, especially Hercules and the others here, these little bits of my background, my knowledge, so you know how I'm working. I have also an image, an amulet. I have a great large collection of amulets. I'm wearing today our cult symbol, which is Ra, winged Horus or winged Ra. This is a copy of the one from Tutankhamun. It's hand cloisonné. It was from Egypt. I also have, by my friend Magdi, who's in Egypt, my Eye of Horus, which has the Butu, which is the cobra or urea. And on the other side, you'll see Neknet, who is the vulture. They are the keepers of Upper and Lower Egypt, the ladies of the two land, mistresses of the two land. This is a piece that I treasure very much. It's from the collection of the Queen Sit Hathor, or Princess Sit Hathor Unet. They found her tomb. There's almost as much treasure as the treasure of Tutankhamun. And you'll see much of that in the Metropolitan Museum here in New York. Her father was Histoceras II. He looked like Ed Sullivan. Very stone-faced man, a very good pharaoh, much loved. He lived to be in his late 80s. And since the average life expectancy was 30, that's pretty good. Like, 2.5 lifetimes more. But his daughter died before he did in childbirth, and he was, destroyed. So he built for her a magnificent, magnificent tomb. And when she was found, and I believe that was in the 1930s, they opened up the tomb, and there was this beautiful princess with all these amulets and charms, and she was wearing a wig. All of that, as I say, you can see in the Metropolitan Museum in a special wing, not far from the 18th dynasty wing. Everyone who knows me knows I am obsessed, as it were, with Cleopatra. I have also two images of Cleopatra there. This piece I got when I traveled in the first time I went to Egypt in 1998 or 9. It is a cartouche of Cleopatra. It is gold and lead and bronze. And I've had it for many, many, many years, and it means a great deal to me. And I keep it near those dolls. Egyptians also believed in Shabti. Shabtis are spirit statues. Many times a mummy was destroyed, something happened. So if the spirit could not return to its body, it didn't have an eternity. So the Egyptians came up with a good idea. Let's make a separate body or a different body just in case. And so they had hundreds of little statues, but they also had tall statues and life-size. There are many scribes and kings and queens and princesses and princes that were exact duplicates of this person just in case their body got destroyed. So that's kind of a clever thing. I wish we could do that. It doesn't quite work that way. We haven't technology hasn't given us clones yet, but at least on the spirit realm, we had magical clones that did those things. We have about 10 more minutes, Hercules. I know that.
Yeah.
9.
Minutes.
So is there anything you'd like to ask me or you want to add?
Well, for those who aren't familiar with mythic spirituality, how did you find the Neteru that you're most resonant with? Like you identified several that are the ones you work with all the time, although you celebrate all of them, there are a handful that are like your tribe, for lack
Well,
of
that I'm going to call that the Isis Horus family.
there you go.
Ra, Horus, Isis, and Osiris became my clan, my family. Isis is my high lady mother. Ra is my high master father, the all father. Like you have Zeus,
Yes.
I have Osiris, and I guess my brother and my son are Osiris and Horus. But I identify being a high priest, an immortal high priest. I identify with Horus. Horus is the keeper of the physical plane. Osiris, after all, is the keeper of those that have gone beyond. So to my energy, these gods, these Neteru, are my family. My mother and father passed 8 years ago. Forgive me for a moment. And I believe that they are watched over, taken care of by the Neteru because of my devotion to them. And I feel it very often. When I do my work, I can feel that my mother and father are also pleased. Sorry, I have a minute there.
I understand.
Well, I lost my better half also 3 years ago. And I feel like he's with them as well. And he is also with me from time to time. But I do feel that Osiris and Horus look after him.
That
He
was
is.
comforting.
I was just going to say, he's my big teddy bear in the sky.
And for folks who are not as learned as you in the ancient ways, how would they go about exploring the myths and legends and the spiritual?
There are quite a few great books. I have a reading list that I can supply people to help them find which particular deities that will resonate with them. I am not a big fan of Murray Hope, but even Wallace Budge had a mini book, or Dr. White, The Gods and Goddesses of Egypt. Wallace Budge has a huge book, the gods and goddesses of Egypt. It's very old, but it shows descriptions. Now he was doing things in the 1920s. We've learned a lot more since then. But you have Cyril Alfred, which is it's a mini handbook of the gods and goddesses of Egypt. And it's very detailed, it's easy to carry and easy to understand. My problem with Budge was he was kind of like Dr. Bombay. He would say, oh yes, and I was working with Colonel Mobutu, and he was off topic in very strange ways. I was having tea with Zaka Zulu and we were being attacked, and I could see him in a pith helmet and a safari suit doing all these stories and things. Moreho Practical Egyptian Magic is a good basic one, which will tell you rituals and spells. Gerald and Betty Schuler's Ancient Egyptian Magic is a wonderful primer. They have ancient Egyptian rituals they've kind of changed around, but used for today's people, more contemporary. It's like when I create shabtis, a lot of times now they'll have a laptop, or they'll be holding a telephone, or they'll be holding a briefcase, rather than ancient Egyptian tools. I don't think working with a hoe or, a pitchfork or oxen is going to do much in this century.
Oh.
So my ancient my shabtis have modern tools in ancient Egyptian bodies.
Now, I want to thank you very much for being brave enough to take this experiment with me. And again, we'll both view this and listen to it, and we'll structure it a little bit differently next time. But you did an awesome job, and I'm grateful to you. How can people contact you? How can they enter your world? How can they get more involved in your temple?
If you wish to reach us, you can get us at Michael K. Waterman, and that is on Facebook.com. You can get us in my little, what would you call it? My little pages on phonawizard.com. Phone a Wizard is my services. You can get me on my email, which is mkwaterman@icloud.com. You can get me on my phone, which is 516-650-3691. I will answer all questions. I am, as you all know, going to start classes soon with different rituals and things. I will teach people from neophyte to advanced to what I call high priest, high priestess, et cetera, et cetera. I can work with all levels. People, if you have just simple inquiries, I can help you there. If you have questions about how to do prayers or rituals and such for yourself, because there are many solitary people, I will be glad to help you.
Thank you so very much, and I look forward to learning more. As always, you're an amazing person, and I'm glad we're on this adventure together.
Thank you, and I'm glad the patient lived, doctor. Blessings, Hercules, and blessings all. Uncle Josh
by late tonight. I'm going to put it up so it's available, and I wish you well and look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you. Bless you. I'm going to